So this is the exact DM script that my team runs on every single client account. We've done over $50 million in sales through it. And in today's video, I'm going to break down all of the 7 steps, every single message that we send, every question that we ask, all of the voice notes and different videos that we use, as well as the conversion benchmarks for each step of the process. And real quick, if you don't know me yet, my name is George Nita. I'm the founder and CEO of DMselling.com, where we've generated over $50 million specifically from DM strategies for people such as Jeremy Miner, Matt Gray, Dean Graziosi, the Onuha brothers, and many, many more. So the first thing here is going to be the actual opener that you use whenever a lead comes into your inbox or whenever you reach out to a person in your audience. And here's what most teams do. They're going to say something along the lines of, hey, I saw you follow this creator, right? So they don't even speak as the creator. The setter speaks as the setter instead of the creator, and therefore just completely diminishes and destroys the authority because no one really wants to talk to a setter. Everyone wants to talk to the person behind the personal brand, like the actual creator, and then they just start pitching something stupid. So you really don't want to do this. Instead, what we do for inbound, so inbound conversations, people that opt in or comment or DM from certain call to actions that you might be posting, we say something along the lines of, hey name, thank you for reaching out. What got you interested in learning more about high ticket sales or YouTube automation or Amazon FBA? And then on the other hand, the strategy that I talk about at length on this channel is the warm outbound. So reaching out to your followers. I think that is the best source of revenue that you can create through a channel like DM Setting. And this goes something along the lines of, hey name, I just saw you drop me a follow. I'm just about to head into a meeting, but I wanted to reach out beforehand to see if I can help. Do you know anything about the specific opportunity that you're selling and how it works? Or are you coming in fresh? A majority of the people here are going to say, hey, I'm coming in fresh, I'd like to learn more. So that's the whole idea of this, is I really want to control the narrative of the conversation, and I want to lead the conversation down the path that I want to take, right? So I don't want to leave it in the lead's hands to kind of dictate how the conversation is going to flow. I'm asking strategic questions at every single point in the conversation you're going to see as we go that bring me closer to my goal, which is obviously booking in the call. Now, the benchmark here, you want to hit a minimum 20 to 25% response rate on warm outbounds when you're messaging followers. So you message 100 followers, you'd want a bare minimum 20 to 25 of those followers to actually get back to you and respond to your message. On really strong personal brands, we're seeing 35, 40, 45, and 50% response rates. So it really does depend on what sort of brand you have, the audience that you have, and how bought in they are into your brand and what you're actually doing. Now, the second step immediately after the opener is going to be the breakdown of voice note. And this is probably the most important part of the conversation, because what this does is it creates a lot of perceived value on the lead's end. And then what that does in return is it increases the likelihood of the lead continuing to get back to you and advancing through every single step of the conversation. So the transition here, if it's an inbound conversation, right, you ask them about their motivation and what had them interested in your opportunity. And then immediately after that, you're going to ask something along the lines of, well, are you familiar with how YouTube automation works? Or would you like me to give you a quick breakdown? And the thing here, people are always going to say yes to something if they believe they're going to get value out of it. So that's exactly what we're engineering here with this message. For people that respond from the outbounds, just to be clear, we're already asking them if they know anything about it or if they're coming in fresh. So if they say they're coming in fresh, you're not going to do anything else. You're just going to send the breakdown voice note right away. Now, the structure of the actual voice note here, you want to keep it at max 60 seconds long. You don't really want anything over that, because then the leads are going to make excuses about not listening to it right now and listening to it later, and they never get to it. So you really want to keep it below 60 seconds because it's super easy to digest anywhere they are. Obviously, this is going to be pre-recorded, so you just record it once, you use it forever, and then it's going to be in your voice as the founder. So this is not a voice note that the DM setter records. It's your voice actually speaking here in the voice note that we're going to send to those leads. And the actual structure of the voice note, you're going to do 3 things. The biggest goal of the voice note is you really want to make sure that it is educational. You provide value. You don't mention courses, programs, mentorship, help, community support. You really want to be careful and not mention anything about that. So what you're going to do is you're going to explain how the opportunity actually works. You're going to provide insight into how they would actually make money with the specific opportunity you're selling. And then you talk about what makes your process unique. So for example, you'd say something along the lines of, you know, if you're doing e-com or Amazon, and say, hey, so we use AI in this way or in that way to help us find winning products, so you don't have to spend hours and hours and hours. You can only do it in 2 hours a week or 4 hours a week. Or the reason this works so well is because we do YouTube Shorts instead of YouTube long form, right? So just adding a little bit of spice to the explanation just so that it spikes up their interest, right? Especially if you can use some sort of AI angle here, it's going to get them even more hooked because it's the hot thing right now. People want to use AI, they want to learn more about it. So if you can introduce it in some way, shape, or form here, it's going to be amazing. And the reason this works so well is you're going to get much higher consumption compared to long text. It's why people prefer listening to audiobooks instead of reading books. Because if you send a long text that's going to have a couple hundred words, people are going to perceive that as too long, and they're going to be like, yeah, I'm not going to read it now, I'll read it later, and then they never get to it. But when you have a voice note instead of that, not only it's much faster to actually listen to it and go through it, but in the lead's mind, it creates curiosity, because then a text, they can just kind of read between the lines, they can kind of get an idea. But with a voice note, unless they actually press play, they're not going to know anything that's in that voice note. And then as they're going through the voice note, they're going to get the value from the voice note, because again, it's educational. You're not pitching, you're not selling anything in the voice note. It's just value. So they're going to get the value, which then decreases sales resistance, but then creates a lot of buy-in from the prospect. Now they believe in the opportunity, they understand better how it works and the mechanics behind it and how you actually make money from whatever it is that you're trying to teach them. So that's the breakdown. Now the next step here is the discovery section. And this is twofold. You have their current situation, and then you want to talk about their goal, and you really want to make sure they get a tangible goal here. So step one, when you talk about your current situation, there's a couple of different questions that we always ask here. You don't have to use all of them. Maybe sometimes just one is enough. Maybe it's that kind of prospect that just tends to share a lot about their life and what they have going on and what their pain points are. So sometimes you might not even have to ask any of those questions. But here's a couple of examples. So what does your day-to-day look like right now? What do you currently do for work? How long have you been doing it for? What is it about your current job that wouldn't allow you to reach that? And then when it comes to the desired outcome, what you really want to make sure here is you get a tangible goal. And when I say tangible, I mean a dollar specific amount. You really, really want this, because we're going to use this number later in the process when we propose a call. So when it comes to finding out their goal, a couple of different questions that you can ask here and that we always ask is, how much would you like to be bringing in per month? Ideally, let's say 6 to 12 months from now. How much would you have to make from YouTube automation or Amazon or e-com to replace what you're currently making from your 9 to 5? Or is the goal just to replace your current source of income, or to create an additional one alongside your whatever it is that they're doing alongside your 9 to 5? And again, the second number here is everything. You really, really want to get clear on this. What this does as a bonus is it allows you to do a soft financial qualification, because if you ask them what their day-to-day looks like and they're like, well, I'm a uni student and I go to class, then you can tell they're not really qualified, and you probably don't want to continue the DM setting process with them, and you probably don't want to schedule them onto your closers' calendars too, because there's a high likelihood that they're going to waste their time. So it allows you to do a little bit of a soft financial qualification here, which is really good as well. So again, always get a tangible number here when it comes to goals, because when you're going to propose the call, you're going to propose it as, let's map out how you might be able to replace your current income with X, Y, and Z, whatever it is that you're selling, so that you can get to that 10K, 8K, $12,000 a month and have the financial freedom, location freedom, time freedom, etc., etc. So it allows you to kind of fill the gaps here when you do the call proposal. Now the next one is really interesting. The next one is what I call the results video, and this works incredibly well. We always send this after discovery, so after we get their goal, but before the call proposal, and we send it together with the call proposal, which is the next step immediately after this. So the results video is going to be a selfie video from the founder under 60 seconds, no edits, super raw, just iPhone camera, front camera on the iPhone. And then there's two parts of this selfie video, or results video as I call it. So the first one is you're going to share your personal results. So this is your Amazon seller dashboard, maybe your Stripe, maybe your ad account, maybe your Shopify results. So whatever the proof is for your model, maybe your YouTube Creator Studio dashboard, where you can show how your channels are monetized and how much your channels are making. So whatever personal results that you have, you'd want to share those here. And then the second thing that you do immediately after this is you flip the camera, and then you go into your community where you have your client chat with all of your wins, maybe it's school, Discord, Slack, whatever you keep it. Then you just start scrolling through the client wins and be like, hey, look at Jamie here that made $5,000 in her second month. And look at Johnny here that did X, Y, and Z. And look at Alex that within 12 months is able to build a 6-figure business off of this opportunity and was able to quit his job, right? So you basically want to show here a couple of client posts or results or messages that they send in your community, in your wins channel. And what this does is it removes the number one silent objection that people always have, which is this real? Like, is this person real? Are the results real? Are other people doing it? When you do it in real time on a video, selfie video, you flip the screen, you show it on your screen, it is so much more believable. And again, we send this always after discovery, so after they get a tangible goal and before the call proposal. Now, when it comes to the call proposal, we also do a voice note here. You can see throughout this framework or script or whatever you want to call it. We use a lot of voice notes. We use the selfie video. We have some voice notes that I'm going to share with you here in a second as well that we use for objection handling, because it just converts so much better when you do this. We have data between millions and millions and millions of DMs, so you have to take my word for it. This works so much better than plain text. Now, what most people do here when it comes to the call proposal is they say something along the lines of, hey, so the next step is for you to book a call with my team. And the reason I'm not a fan of this is because it doesn't land as a proposal. Quite the contrary, it's making the lead feel like they're forced to book a call instead of making them feel like it's their idea in the first place to go on a call with your team. So the way we do it is we have our voice note, 15 to 20 seconds. Obviously, this would also be pre-recorded. So you record it once, you use it forever, just like the breakdown voice note that I shared a couple of minutes ago. So it sounds something like this. Hey, sounds like there's a real path here for you to get to your goals that you just mentioned. Obviously, we can say this in a voice note without restating back their specific goals, because It was just the previous step in the conversation, so it still feels very natural. What I'd love to do is get you on a call with my lead advisor who can map out exactly what building an income via YouTube automation, Amazon FBA, Shopify dropshipping, whatever it is, would look like for you. Would that be helpful? And the key here is we anchor this back to their goal that we just talked about, right? So for you to get your goals that you just mentioned. And then the second thing that the voice note does, actually two things, not three, but the second thing that the voice note does is at the end, notice how we always ask, would that be helpful? The reason I'm such a big fan of this, and I've been using this for 4 years. I started using this when I was a setter myself 4 years ago, 2022. I started using this and it worked so much better than any other call proposal that I've tried. And it works so good because it makes the lead feel like it's their idea and it's in their own benefit to do it, not yours or not just yours. Because what it does in their mind when you ask this, so would it be helpful, is they start thinking like, well, would it be helpful? It's like, of course it would be helpful. So when they go through this little thing here in their minds, they're like, well, yeah, it would be helpful. So it kind of makes them feel like it's their own idea. They came up with it, right? It's in their own benefit more than it is in your benefit. So the benchmarks here is you want to make sure 20 to 25% of conversations are going to turn into calls proposed. So if you were to send 1,000 outbounds, you get about 250 of those people, ideally bare minimum, that would get back to you and that will be in a conversation. And out of those 250 people, you'd want to propose a call to 20 to 25% of them. So let's say 20% on the low end, that's 50 call proposals that you do from 1,000 outbounds and again 250 active conversations. And out of those call proposals, you want to make sure about 70% of them are going to turn into actual booked calls on your closers. So what this looks like in practice in simple numbers, let's say you have 100 conversations, like actual conversations, maybe inbounds or outbound responses, so people that get back to your outbound message. You propose a call to 20% of them, so that's 20 call proposals. You book in 70% of them, so that leaves you with 14 sales calls booked on your closer schedule. When you compare that to 100, that's a 14% lead to booking ratio. It's a very healthy lead to booking ratio. Most people that I speak with that run DM funnels, prior to getting our help or prior to having a proper process in place, they're only getting about a 2 to 3 to 4, maybe 5% booking rate. So jumping from that to a 14% is really good. The way you do it is you just apply what I'm giving you here in this video. Now, the next step immediately after this is we send the booking link. So we never manually book, we always use a booking link, because every single back and forth that you do when you're trying to manually book, and like, well, can you do tomorrow at 3? It's like, no, but can you do Wednesday at 4? And then it's like, it just becomes this where you gotta do 4, 5, 6 different back and forths to just figure out a time. Basically, every single back and forth is an opportunity for the lead to ghost you. So you want to avoid that as much as possible, right? I don't want to give my leads the chance of dropping off at the most important step in the conversation, which is booking the actual call. So here's how we do it. Awesome. Here's our link. And then obviously you just send your link, OneSub, Calendly, whatever it is that you use. Let me know once you've booked. I'm going to double check on my end to make sure you came through. And I'm going to send you over a couple of resources to get you up to speed before the call. And then once they actually confirm, you'd proceed with sharing the resources. In this case, is the call confirmation page. We always send it in the DMs. Some people call it the thank you page or the homework page, whatever you want to call it. We always send that in the DMs because we want to make sure consumption is as high as possible. That also helps us increase show rate. And then also what we do is we introduce the closer. So we're going to say something along the lines of, hey, just so you know, you're booked with Alex from my team. He's been with me since day one and helped hundreds of people in your exact spot get to X, Y, and Z result, whatever. You can just personalize this to whatever they said prior in the conversation. I'm going to make sure he'll take great care of you. He's an amazing guy. And what this does, simply because you just kind of position it like this, you introduce them by name, you position them with authority because they helped a lot of people just like them in the past. It creates familiarity. And the lead doesn't feel like they walk into the unknown. It feels like they're going to go on a call with Alex, the lead advisor that helped hundreds of people, has experience, is a good guy. So by default, what this is going to do is going to increase your show rate by at least 5 to 10%. This is what we're seeing across dozens of client accounts. So we always do this. It's one of our best practices that we always implement. Now, the next thing here is the follow-up system. So when it comes to follow-ups, we go pretty heavy on follow-ups. Majority of our teams have a bare minimum KPI of 5 to 1. So 5 follow-ups for every single lead they speak with. Sometimes it's more than that. It's all the way up to like 9 or 13, depending on the team, depending on the process that we have. But again, we're very heavy on follow-ups. We have 2 sequences here. So we have the pre-booking sequence. This is before you proposed or before you sent a link, before they booked in a call. And I'm not going to read those out loud. You can pause the screen. You can go through them. It's just some pretty basic follow-ups. We're not trying to get extra creative here. I'm just trying to optimize the follow-ups for efficiency so we can go through and we can just do a lot of them on a daily basis. I find that volume of follow-ups is better than just doing a couple of follow-ups that are like super hyper personalized. I've always been a fan of volume. When I was a DM setter myself many years ago, I was doing hundreds and hundreds of follow-ups every single day, and that always served me well, and I've carried that into the teams that we now manage over at dmsetting.com. So that's the first sequence. The second sequence here is the calendar link send follow-up. So this is for when we send the calendar link, but the people don't book. And here we have 10 messages. I really want to hunt those people down. I want to be ruthless with my follow-ups. Again, you can pause the screen here. You can read through them. You can copy them. You can send them to your setters. You can implement them right away. But we're going really, really heavy on those follow-ups because I want to make sure I do everything in my power to not lose the lead at the most important step of the conversation, which is booking in the actual call. So this, again, personally served me incredibly well. All of our teams do this, and we have amazing results. And there's two more things here that we do, which I'm a huge fan of. So the first one is the post-call follow-up, and I have other videos on the channel that you can go check out where I speak more at length about the specific post-call follow-up process and how it actually goes. But what we always do here is we have the DM setters go in the inbox, and every single time after a call happens that doesn't close, they would go in, they'd be like, hey, lead, how did the call with Alex go? Considering Alex is the name of their closer. And then the lead is going to assume that they're speaking with the creator, and because the creator has more authority than the closer, the leads are that much more likely to open up and share the real objection that they didn't share on the call. And I'm speaking from personal experience, and I see this time and time again where closers say, oh, this is a 10 out of 10 lead, they're going to pay tomorrow $10,000 paid in full, and then we go in the DMs and we're like, hey, how was the call? And then the lead says, well, it was good, but I don't really feel like this is for me, or I want to think about it a little bit more. I think I want to try it out myself. And it's like, well, how did the closer tell me that they're going to pay $10,000 tomorrow, and then the lead says this in the DMs, right? So this is why I'm such a huge fan for it. And this goes hand in hand with the next thing that I'm going to tell you, which is we have a voice note library for all of the different objection handles that you can possibly think of. We have a client, we have over 40 different voice notes here. For every single situation that we've encountered over the last year and a half, we have a voice note. So this is how heavy we go on this. Now, to start with, you don't need 42 different voice notes. You can just have a couple of pre-recorded voice notes for every single common objection that you know you're gonna get or that your closers can tell you that they're getting on the call. So obviously money, it's too expensive. I want to think about it. I'm too busy now. I don't want to book a call right now, or I don't want to move forward right now. I'm going to start later in the future. I just don't want another course. I've been through courses before. I got burned before. I want to try it myself first. I think there's a lot of free information out there. You know, any sort of fiat objections, any sort of spouse or partner objections. And then all the setter has to do is, instead of being this fucking sales wizard where they need to know how to handle this all themselves, they just send the right voice note. And then that's it. There's no typing, there's no improvising, there's no guessing, there's no, hey, ChatGPT, help me handle this objection. It's like, no, you have it. It's in your own voice. It's in your voice note library. The setter just goes in, presses 2 buttons, it gets sent. And then many times what you're going to find is just because you do this, you're going to close an additional couple of deals a month, and that makes a huge difference. And that makes a huge difference because it's money that you otherwise would have never had. So that's it, top to bottom. Those are the 7 steps that we go through here. Again, the opener, the breakdown voice note, the discovery, so getting their situation and goals, sending the results video together with the call proposal at the same time, sending the booking link once they said yes to your call proposal, and then the follow-up system. Now, the last thing that I promised I was going to show you in this video is the actual math and the KPIs. So let me pull that up. So when it comes to the KPIs, I've actually went ahead and put this thing together here for you, where you just got to put in your inputs, put in your goals, and then it spits out all of the KPIs that you need to implement in your DM team on a day-to-day basis to make it really hard for you to not get to those goals. So if you want access to this, just DM me the word KPI on Instagram. There's a link to my Instagram profile down in the bio. Just go to my profile, DM me the word KPI. I'll send this over to you. But the way this works, let me walk you through it. Let's say your goal is going to be $100,000 here. You're selling a $6,000 package or offer. Let's say your show rate is 60%. Let's say your close rate is 22%. Again, you can play around with these numbers as much as you like. Our average show rate from DMs is about 65% across many different client accounts that we have right now, over 20 different client accounts. And then our average close rate is right around 26% on those DM sets. That is obviously with clients that close at 19%, and that's obviously with teams that close at 40+%. So this is just an average. Do with that what you will. Now, when it comes to the KPIs, you can see very clearly here every single metric. So you're going to see how many new inbound conversations you need, how many outbound conversations you need, how many outbound responses you need based on a 20% response rate, how many total new conversations, so between outbounds and inbounds. We typically want to have a 50-50 split. I think that's personally the healthiest way to approach this. When you can generate as many inbounds as you can generate outbound responses, that's a really, really good place to be in. You're then going to see the follow-up messages that your setters need to send, the amount of calls proposed, the amount of booking links sent, and then last but not least, the amount of total calls booked that you need to get on a monthly basis. I've also broken them down based on working days. So considering 20 working days, if on your end it's going to be 25 working days that you can just go in here and just update the formula, right? If your DM setters only get 1 day off, then you can go in here. If they work every single day of the month, then obviously you can go in here and you can update this to see the true daily KPIs that you need to hit. And it's also going to tell you how many really good DM setters you need. So if you had one really good DM setter, then you'd only need that one person to do $100,000 in a month. However, it's pretty hard to find really good talent. That's why we only hired 3.8% of the hundreds and thousands of people that apply to work with us. So chances are, realistically, you're probably going to have to double this number. And then I also have a little tab here with marketing needs. I'll preface this by saying I'm not a marketing expert in any way, shape, or form. I've never worked in marketing. This is just what we've seen across many different accounts that we work with, across many different clients over the past 40 years. So you're gonna need 5,713 total new followers, assuming that you're only gonna message 30% of all of your new followers. So what this means and why only 30% is because you're also gonna get some DQ followers. You're also gonna get followers from third world countries, fake profiles, bots, whatever. So you're not always gonna message all of them. The key here with warm up-ons and really making it work, it's kind of cherry picking it a little bit and just kind of having your setters pick the best looking profiles that really match your ICP. So 30%, I think oftentimes is going to be higher than this, is going to be closer to 40 or 50%. But nonetheless, about 6,000 new followers that you need to hit on a monthly basis to be able to pull these numbers. Then when it comes to your inbound conversations, always look at the country qualification rate here. This is going to matter a lot. If you have an offer that's super appealing, so like only a US audience, so for example, a Section 8, no one in a third world country or outside of America is going to want to do Section 8 or is going to even know about Section 8. So in that case, your country qualification rate might be closer to 80 or 90 or maybe even 95%. But in other cases where you're selling something more general like e-com or YouTube automation, you're going to get leads from all over the world. So as you would expect, the country qualification rate here is going to drop. I've just put 40% at reference. It can really be anything. Just kind of spend some time speaking with your marketing team, or maybe even just taking a look at the inbox yourself and kind of guessing, right? You don't have to be 100% right on this. And then that tells you how many actual, like true total new inbounds you need as well. So you need 857 here at a 40% country qualification ratio. That's going to give you 343 country qualified new inbound conversations that you know there's a very high likelihood they're going to be qualified leads that you can then turn into a qualified booked call. So now you know the framework, you know the math behind it, but if you want us to build this entire thing out for you, so the scripts, the voice notes, the KPIs, the data, the hiring, the management, all of it, then click the first link in the description, dmsetting.com/apply, book a call with me. I'll walk you through how we're gonna do everything that we just talked about and more completely done for you.